Welcome to 2026, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the biggest motorsport facility that Oceania has to offer. It is Shell V-Power Motorsport Park at the Bend. And for season 26 of V8 Vets, the question now is this: can Jordan Ross be stopped after a brilliant Adelaide? Or who is going to stand up and make their claim? The gamble of Scott Gamble might be someone to keep in mind. But today, this is a huge opportunity as we go from Australian racetrack to Australian racetrack. My name's Jake Sperry, bringing you all of the coverage for today. Stepping in for David Haynes as Brock Cadday is alongside with me for today's coverage. Dan Yeaman jumps into the production booth for this one at a wonderful track, Brock, that brings all of the battling into play and the most popular layout of this circuit being run, the international version here of Tailem Bend.
It is a pleasure to be here in the comms box with you, Mr. Jake Sperry, and here at, as you said, this world-class location, located nicely here in Australia, domestically at Tailem Bend, so just east of Adelaide, and really hosts a variety of different cars, different classes, different, as you said, track layouts as well. We're on our favourite here at the International. We're going to zoom in here and take a look at the track itself. As you can see, massive layout that you can race on the GT circuit, which is that outer one. We're going to keep it a little bit more localised through the middle there, through turns 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. We cut through and shorten this track to that international layout, and we've been here last season and seen some great racing, so I think we're in for another really exciting night with some great competition.
Big passing zones. Expect turn 1 to be a place to get a move done. If you can't get it done at 1, turn 6, 13 and 17 offer the next great chances to go and make this work. It is one that's going to be critical on the left-hand side tyres, with the run through the long 7, 8, 9 and 10 to keep in mind on the charge. And then again, turn 12 too, that offers up a lot of difficulty for drivers to try and sort out on this track. But let's talk about last time out, or last year, in fact, for racing action that started off the season with a full race over at Adelaide. And after that, it was Jordan Ross who was able to get it done by 6 points, a championship lead over Scott Gamble. But with both Darren Lobb for DPR and Wayne Walker tied on points in third place, they're going to be drivers to keep in mind, as well as Troy Stonestreet driving for WKMP Simsport. Over through the top 10, you've got the likes of Justin McLean, Mark Poynton, Scott Mackay, Brad Doble and Robert Crisdale making up that charge. But as we know with 2 drop rounds, it's not about, Brock, how quick you are out of the gate. It's how consistent you are out of the gates.
That's exactly it, Jake. And last year we saw exactly that in season 25, where Wayne Walker had a very rough start to the season, and we didn't think he'd be in with a chance. And in the end, he was fighting for the win in the last round with those drop rounds. So really, if you can, right from the get-go, if you can get some good rounds underneath you, it's really going to help. But in saying that, if you really excel towards the end of the season, the drop rounds do help you come back. So it'll be interesting to see how the guys go here. Jordan Ross has started as we expect him to, up the front, leading the pack. That's what he's been doing for seasons now. But it's up to the other guys who have been slowly creeping up to him as the seasons have gone on to really take it to him and make something of it.
181 points base then for winning a race out there. 177 for second, 174 there in third. You have to score 75% race distance to go and get points. But there are bonus points in offer here, Brock. Pole position, fastest lap, most laps led, and leading a lap is 1.3 points for anyone who gets no instant points attributed by iRacing on their system. And then, of course, the easiest point to score in all of sim racing: join the Zoom wall. It's a free point.
And you know what? We don't see enough people on the Zoom wall when you think about how easy it is to get that point. Just a simple camera, however you want to set it up. We've had some guys set up cameras or laptops or that sort of thing to film their pedals or themselves, and we absolutely love checking in on the Zoom wall throughout the race. In fact, we make it a habit of ours to make sure every single driver on there is on the broadcast as well for their own team, their sponsors, whoever. We absolutely love checking in on them, and that includes, for example, Damien Cairns and Dean Flavel, each with their own heart rate monitors too, which is fun to check in and compare throughout the race.
Yeah, and you certainly get to see that as that all progresses. Qualifying is currently underway at the moment. They have 10 minutes to set a representative time, 3 laps available to them on what is a 41-lap race here today. Now, they are starting with 50 litres in the tank, but here's the big key, Brock. They've got 100% refill capacity, so that means they could take about 86, 87 litres of fuel at their first stop if they want to, so you can get 2 stops done by lap 9 in this race, and you're good all the way to the end. It's a huge window today.
Absolutely massive, Jake, and I think that this is where the guys who maybe don't have the qualifying they're expecting, want to try something a little bit different, they will take advantage of this if there's an early safety car, and that's where having this massive refill capacity gets them, and you'll see them come through the pack if they've got the speed to get there. So expect to see a variety of different pit stop strategies that will lead to a potentially jumbled order if we do have a couple of those safety cars, but great to see a bit of strategy coming into today's race.
Absolutely, that compulsory pit stop window opens at the end of lap 2, so you cannot pit until lap 3 of the race to go and get set and get yourself into position in that regard. So keep that in mind as they sort themselves out around Tailem Bend and know how difficult this track is. And while this track is the sort of circuit here, Brock, that is a lot newer to the fraternity of Australian racing tracks, it still offers a lot of difficulty because it has that feel of being a club-style circuit through the majority of it with the lack of elevation change, but there is just enough to be given coming out of turn 6 that allows this circuit to breathe and give itself life.
You're exactly right there. I think this track on paper looks like a really great, almost European style track. You get out there in a supercar nonetheless, which has not that much downforce and tyres that have nowhere near enough grip for the amount of power these things can put out, and it's actually a really challenging but rewarding track when you get it right. There's enough undulation there. Yes, it's wide, but in acceleration zones, in braking zones, hell, at the apex of a corner, you are going through these hilly sections where you try to accelerate up an incline to try and get the most speed out of it with the car trying to step out on you. So these guys tonight, they will make it look easy, but let me tell you, over 200 kilometers, they're going to be having a tough time managing their tires, managing their fuel, and getting some speed out of these things.
It's a patience track. You will see how much often a patient track will now bring itself into its position as we will sort ourselves in. They're now into warm-up. This is your calendar for the season. So we started with the 78 over at Adelaide, a 250, 200 at the Bend here today. But look over the course of this calendar, Brock. I look around and see a very nice middle of the season. You've got circuits that we've seen many a time before, like the Cup variant of Watkins Glen. We see Canadian Tire Motorsport Park often, but then you get the flip side of that. Circuits that are brand new. We started the season with Adelaide, and I look at round 9 as the key round to this championship, Miami Autodrome.
Absolutely agree there, Jake. I think that these guys will know it's coming, but whether they've had the chance to practice it and perfect themselves when they've got all these other rounds to worry about before then, and that could really be the round that makes it or breaks it. A new track, green guys, late in the season, you might think you're a little bit safe and you think maybe you could squeak through, and then you finish on Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Yes, a circuit that we know and love, but still a street circuit that's tight and hard to wrap your head around and get speed out of. So I think we're going to be topsy-turvy through this championship, and we're going to see a lot of action at each round.
We absolutely are. You can only catch it here with us with the RaceKraft Simulation V8 Vets, which are brought to you in comparison as well with Logitech, M1 Used Cars, Nova Sim Sports, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, SimSpeed, and Parramatta Isuzu Ute. Now, driver of the day from last time out when we were racing, a big run for Darren Lobb. He went from 14th to the podium and very much deserving it there with being hashtag bin the blade for balling out there with the run that was done. But Brock, the key is going to be a street circuit. You get a lot of attrition. You have to, in this race coming up, pretty much manufacture your passes, find your way through on your own accord. Darren Lobb kept it on the island, and that's why he got a podium.
That's it. And look, it's a different skill set, right? At Adelaide, it was, as you said, you kept it on the island, you kept yourself out of trouble, didn't get involved in anybody else's incidents, and he was starting really right in the middle of the danger zone there in P14 Adelaide for his run to the podium. But the bend is different. There's a lot of runoff, a lot of grass before you hit walls. You can recover a spin, you can recover an accident and still keep going. So it's really going to come down to, as you said earlier, a bit of patience when we're in those early laps, but then outright speed to take advantage of what you've got underneath you, and confidence while you're making overtakes to really push your way through the pack tonight.
And you're going to have to work hard knowing where everyone is sat up. We're about half a minute away from the gridding starting, so let's take a look at your starting field. Evolution Racing Team on the pole with Scott Gamble, a wonderful time, a 152.094. It's Wayne Walker for Accelerate Sim Racing, who is alongside for company. Jordan Ross, the championship leader, will have to take the Synergy Sim Racing 143 from third, as Kenneth Latter will take the Fishy Motorsports car in P number 4. Ray Smith will start on row number 3 for Infinity, as Mark Poynton will be alongside him, as 7th will belong to Paul Young in the 040, and the first of the 9.5 SimSport cars is Dean Logsdale, who'll be going from 8th. Your top 10 will be rounded out by Michael Stewart, there the second of the 9.5 cars, and Troy Stonestreet there for WK&P SimSport. Travis Hunt and Andrew Rushworth are on row number 6 with 13th. Lucky for some, Jeff Thomas is hoping that that luck is going to be there for the JWM SimSport 43. Chad Lewis there in 14th place. It then follows with Wayne Sanderson and David Nash, the Kiwi, in 16th position for 801, as David Kirby will be starting 17th, and Jim Caparones will be in 18th place. Your top 20 will see Lorne Mackay there for Accelerate, along with the envious car of Matty Mascord there in that 20th place. John Gallen and Dave Arney will be on row number 11, an all-Pacific Esports Racing run. You then have Greg Sharp, maybe a little bit down the order there in 23rd, with Michael Whiting in 24th. Dan Hall will have Ricky Hyde there on row 13. That will then follow with Matt Brunt and Simon Hayes, 27th and 28th. Dean Flavelle will be going from 29th, with Tim Mulford, who is a little bit of a hot and cold driver for the Phoenix Racing Team. He'll be going from 30th. It then will follow with Jamie McKnight in 31st. Darren Goosey for Old Mate and Sons will be there in 32nd. The last car to set a time is Darren Lobb, and Christian Smart in the 999, having to start with no time set from the back of the field. Had pace equivalent of a 153.3 in practice, which would have been good enough for 25th position on this grid. There is your zoom wall as they get themselves set, and a full 14 up there on the wall. That is 14 points, Brock, in the back pocket.
That's it, and as we said earlier, we love seeing our zoom wall here, and we do have a fairly full wall, which is great to see. Top left there, John Gallen. Next to him, Scott Gamble. Then we've got Wayne Sanderson, Simon Haynes on the top right as well, Jeff Thomas below that, David Kirby, Travis Hunt and Ray Smith. Then we've got Greg Sharp, Ken Latter, Dean Logsdale, we've got Dan Hall there, Christian Smart, and rounding out as one of our actual favourite Zoom Wall attendees, Michael Stewart. And the thing we love looking at on his sim rig, not only is the great VR setup he's got going, but the greatest racing tracks in the world map behind him there. Now, if we are at one of them, and I don't think the bend features on this map because it was printed before the bend came out, he puts a nice little red dot for us where we can see that. Unfortunately not tonight, but I'm sure, as you said earlier, Jake, we're going to some really famous tracks. We're going to see that little red dot as the season goes on.
We absolutely are. We're going to see just how incredible racing action is going to be here today. They know that 41 laps is going to be tough for them to try and work out, but they've given themselves the best chance at the front of this field. It's about how they want to wake up and really attack it. They know that they are in for these 203 kilometers of racing action, these 41 laps, knowing it's a fairly sizable run as well to turn one, so they don't want to miss a shift or anything of that ilk. Now let's get the lights on. Let's get the engine notes rising, because here at Tailem Bend, your RaceKraft Simulations V8 Vet, They have themselves ready, they have themselves set, and they have themselves underway for racing action. Scott Gamble's a little sluggish off of the start now. Wayne Walker gets a very good launch off of the run. They're all clean off the start, but Wayne has got the run that he's needed. There's a couple of defenses back there with Poynton Young and as well Dean Logsdale, but there's trouble there sideways through turn one, almost in the back, just about saved as they went through. It is Wayne Walker who's got the run needed. Paul Young up one as well, and one car limping about there on the outskirts, on the infield, sorry, of turn one. So the trouble's there in place. They will run themselves now to turns 5 and 6. Young in line with Mark Poynton, but a good start nevertheless.
That's it there. There was definitely some drama in the back of the pack there as we're looking at Greg Sharp now. There was some guys out wide. We've got, that was Darren Lobb off the track by the looks of it in the background there. So lots going on here. We'll have some replays in a little bit, but this is what we talked about earlier, Jake. A bit of patience in this early race is going to get you so far, and we're not seeing quite as much of that as what we would have thought early in this one. But Darren Lobb, and we've got Chad Lewis off in the sand now.
That's a mile off the road there. It's very difficult to hit gravel at that point. He's had a tank slapper on the back of Jeff Thomas, and that puts him all the way back now to 33rd position. So having the car as loaded as it was, creating a lot of drama. It's in towards the final sector now as they crest the rise then out of this next section over in towards turn 14 and 15. They are really trying to open up the corners now and really attack off this run. Jordan Ross happily sat on the back of Scott Gamble here on this opening lap and trying to work out where the best place is going to be to find this pass. 17, definitely a place late on in races to go and get those moves, but you can see already Wayne Walker trying to just build that gap on the opening lap here. He's got himself about 5 car lengths ready to play within the back pocket.
Yeah, this is what Walker's going to want to do, because he knows as soon as Jordan Ross can find a way, if he can, through Scott Gamble, he is going to be right on the back of Walker. So this is the time for Wayne to run with it, while Scott Gamble just seems to be struggling to find his feet at the moment. I think someone's just blown their engine in the background there, I've just heard.
And there it is, it's Troy Stonestreet who's gone and blown the engine on the downshift, and that might bring the safety car out because he is not very far away from the racing line, and that is a huge mistake to have there at that moment. So we'll see what happens and what comes of it. We are still green for the moment. We've got one car off the road now trying to trundle about at this moment, so it's telling everything that you need to. Safety car deployed.
That was not one we were expecting. We're just hearing as well, lap 2, so the compulsory pit stop window is open and drivers can take their first pit stop there, Jake. So that has unlocked a whole heap of strategic opportunities for the drivers who are looking to make the most of their strategy today.
It's huge. It certainly has now made it a little bit easier if everybody dives in. It's a one-stop race, effectively, with this neutralised run. And we don't often talk about the long straights and actually how difficult it is in these cars here, Brock. The likes of running around in the Ford Mustang, in the Chevrolet out there as well, to really struggle to get the car to respond going down the gears.
Oh, absolutely. These supercars, they are hard to drive when you're in dirty air as well, whether it's grip, whether it's just getting down to the right RPM to get your shifting in gear there. You are using the clutch as well in these cars. So it is critically important as we've got the race leader into the pits at the moment. So it looks like, Jake, you were bang on. Everyone so far is coming in to fulfill their first pit stop requirement. We do have one holdout.
Travis Hunt is going to get track position out there, and this is going to be key because if you lead a lap out there, that's an extra point in the back pocket. So Travis expecting he's not going to be in contention really to win this race. He's going to need another safety car to save him. Matty Mascord as well is going to save out and try and do something a little bit alternate out there. But if you pick the lap, you get the point. You will pick them up later on in the season and go, yeah, I'm very glad that I've got these 5 or 6 points that add up over the course of this season. But now it's a battle of how much fuel do you want to put in the car. In theory, you can fill the car right up to full. But if you do that here, of course, Brock, you're going to have a very heavy car to try and lumber around the circuit. It's going to create a little bit more understeer out there. One car already leaving the box at the moment, looking there like Jim Caparonis is looking for a jump then. This is going to really shuffle this field up. Look at the field now as it stacks. Paul Young out ahead, then Ray Smith, then Jordan Ross.
Wow, that is, it's a great point you make there, Jake. I was thinking the exact same thing of how much fuel do you put in here for track position's sake, and Paul Young has gone, I want track position, I'm going to underfuel my car and get out there in front of the leaders. He jumped all the leaders in that process there, and there's a whole heap of jumbling we've seen in the pit lane as well, but the biggest part of that there is Paul Young jumped the leaders. Jordan Ross has jumped both Wayne Walker and Scott Gamble as the leaders as well, so there has been a lot of movement there. What that's going to create for that second pit stop is a variety of different fuel loads and therefore stopping time for each of these drivers, which is going to be interesting to unpack, as we're just also seeing that Greg Sharp has an iRacing black flag potentially for speeding in pit lane, I would imagine, after that cycle.
Yeah, he was side by side and he was boxed in with about 4 or 5 different cars, and I think he just got on the gun a bit too quickly off the exit. We'll have a look here. So Greg Sharp, he's about the 3rd car in here of the 5, and he's looking at that green commitment cone. How can I jump on the run? Oh, got ya! He was about 5 meters too early there to get himself up to speed. You get dinged for that every day and twice on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's a hard one there. Yeah, from the driver's eye there, to be so difficult to just nail that, particularly when you are in that conga line of cars coming out of pit lane. But on the angles we've got, as you said, Jake, that's night and day. You're getting nailed 6 days of the week, all the way to Sunday on that one, unfortunately for Greg, and that'll mean he's got to come in and serve that penalty until iRacing system is satisfied.
So, you're looking around. This is Troy Stone Street, down the gears, bang! 5th, 4th, he pops it, and it's gone. Just nothing you can do about it. He tries to pull it off the side of the road, get it to a place where it stopped, and ultimately there, for Troy Stone Street, we've all done it out there. We've all popped an engine in these V8s going down the gears. It's very tough to do. This is Chad Lewis. He's behind Jeff Thomas here, so this is through turn 7 into 8. Oh, he just gets on the back. He gets the car completely unloaded, and he's very fortunate there is so much gravel runoff there, Brock. Otherwise, he was going to be in the fence and further.
Well, exactly what we talked about earlier, Jake, is that there is that runoff there that you can make the most of. Now we're looking back to race start here, so just looking at the back of the pack where we've had a driver make a massive save and then has hit John Gallen and Greg Sharp in the process there. So it was Dave Arney who had the massive slide there. I'm not sure if he got contact, but he's taken John Gallen and Greg Sharp with him, albeit they've all managed to keep on going there. Dave Arney did get a bit of contact there, one of the other major series cars, and oh my goodness, he did a great job of saving that, Jake. I don't know how he did it. Unfortunately, it's led to more carnage at the exit of turn 1, but that was excellent from Arney.
Well, Wayne Sanderson was the only one who couldn't get himself heads up enough to avoid it, and the fact there was only one car doing a 360, I think is very good. A look then with Dave Arney here for Pacific Esports Racing. This is what he has. So here's the pinch. They try and stop the Logitech car going through there, the Evolution car, and then there's the hit. He's trying so desperately, is Dave, to get it slowed up. He tags 2 more for his troubles, and again, just about avoids the car that goes spearing off through the opening corner. That's what can happen at the back of packs like that if you're not careful. John Gallen ultimately the one who loses out 9 spots for it, but a tough opening lap that has just neutralised itself back into play. Lap 4 here of 41. We are here under safety car for a blown engine from Troy Stone Street to get things sorted. Only Travis Hunt and Matty Mascord, the only 2 drivers not to come in and make their stops. 10 seconds roughly better in the stop for 5 drivers. Paul Young, Ray Smith, the likes of Michael Stewart and Jim Caparonis getting track position then through the pit stop cycle.
And we're just on board here with Travis Hunt, so the first of our Zoom wall attendees tonight. We're getting the mirror effect there in the background. He changes his camera view every time we have a broadcast, just to keep us on our toes. Still see a bit of that Cam Waters in the background there, but he, I've got to say, Travis Hunt is a fast driver, and we've seen him routinely in the top 10. So this could be a really interesting strategy for him, depending on how many safety cars there are going through the rest of this race. But I'd keep half an eye on him, as well as Paul Young.
Safety car is in this lap and has already pulled away here through turn 14 and is now leaving the JWM SimSport car in charge of the field. So Matty Mascord, Paul Young and Ray Smith are the cars to keep in mind. Jordan Ross slightly better on the stock compared to Walker and Gamble, who I think took maximum service time there with a 37.6 second stop out there. So that is opening up their races and saying, look, I'm going to take 3 seconds less here, 4 seconds less. It'll get me a few positions and I'll try and make 4 seconds over the course of this run. Watch out for this one to be frantic with the field jumbled up. I'm expecting quite a few overtakes then on this restart, and where you launch out of turn 18 is key, and Travis Hunter's gone a little early there, hasn't really caught Matty Mascord sleeping as we get ourselves back underway. It seems everybody's had a bit of brewed coffee as they get themselves off and away again at Tailem Bend.
Yeah, good restart there for Travis Hunt. Kept it clean, got a good run off that last turn and made sure he wasn't at all at risk of someone going for a move down the inside. Kept himself clear of Matty Mascord there. Paul Young looking racy, but speaking of looking racy, Jordan Ross on the back of Ray Smith is looking very racy, and Paul Young as well now is past Matty Mascord. So Young, this strategy is already working great for him. He's past one of the guys who hasn't pitted and will continue to steam on here. So already we're only a couple of corners into this safety car restart and moves are being thrown.
Yeah, Matty Mascord then gets a little shove to the back as he overcooked it at turn 3, gets a little tap back at 6, and then you've got Ray Smith fending Jordan Ross off as they go through these wonderful consecutive right-hand bends, 4 in a row of them, as they work themselves through turn 10, now to 11 and 12. And you can see here as we go on board with Jordan Ross, he's really trying to open up turn 12 here, get the run to turn 13, mistake through the corner there from Ray Smith. He gets the rear, all shades of loose, and he'll lose 1. And Michael Stewart thinking about trying to pounce and make it 2, doesn't quite get the chance to make that happen. But Jordan Ross now up to 4th position, and he will be eyeing up Matty Mascord as that next pass available. Through 16 they go.
And this is where Jordan Ross excels, is he's patient. We've used that word a few times tonight, patience, and he will just wait for the opportunity. We rarely see him make a mistake where he takes someone out, knocks them off the course. He will just wait for that perfect opportunity, and it'll be the exact same with Matty Mascord here. But Jordan Ross's race isn't necessarily with Mascord, it's with Paul Young, and Paul Young last time we were at the Bend actually had a really good performance. I believe it was a podium last season, so he's got some good form at this circuit, as well as Travis Hunt sets the fastest lap time, being the leader of the safety car train. But I imagine we are in for some very good battles here. And there goes Mascord, and I reckon Jordan Ross will wrap this one up.
It's twice now that Matty struggled on the brakes, turning into a right-hand corner. So I think Matty here has got the brake bias a little bit too far in the rears at the moment, and that's what's going to be giving him all of the trouble. Through goes Jordan Ross. Now the lineup is there for Ray Smith to try and go back at it here at turn 6. It's a very open entry into turn 6. You don't apex until about 2/3 of the way into the corner, so it really does open up overtaking moves, but no such chances there at turn 6. But Jordan Ross, championship leader, doing all that he needs to. He's not making big aggressive moves. He's just seeing the mistake in front and going, yeah, I'm just going to plant my car there and it's going to get the job done.
It's a champion's mindset, isn't it? That, as we said earlier, the championship, with your drop rounds and everything, consistency is key. Making it through these races, regardless of your position, is key to get those points up, particularly early. And Jordan is a master at that, of making sure that he doesn't take anyone out, he doesn't get taken out himself, and he can just mind his own business, pick the right gap, make his way through and continue on. And here it's got him in 3rd place where he started, but he has jumped those 2 guys behind him in Wayne Walker and Scott Gamble, who are still trying to fight their way through traffic at the moment and are probably having some struggles and losing time to the likes of Young and Ross, who are up ahead of them.
I don't think they're losing much, though, as we watch Wayne Walker on the back of Jim Caparonis, who is doing a wonderful job right now, plus 11, and holding his own at the moment against Walker, Gamble, and Latta, who will all want to get through. They've bridged the gap over from Jeff Thomas, Andrew Rushworth, and Mark Poynton. So they have dropped a number of drivers off the back of this main group as it does start to fragment out a little bit. So you're asking yourself, well, the pace is being kept quite nicely by all participants at the moment. In through turn 3, slight dip down the hill, then you've got to try and attack off of the exit back up the hill again as you go through turn 4 and sweep into 5. And again, it's now Michael Stewart that looks like the most likely to try and get a move here to turn 6. Big power move's going to be made to the inside. Can it be caught up on Ray Smith? Ray's going to hold the outside line, get the drive off the exit. They're going to bash against each other, but you're on the wrong side of the road, Michael. If you want this done, it's going to be Ray's as he holds himself then steady through the first part, the second part, the third part at turn 9. He gets it steady.
Yeah, Ray seems to think he has got some pace in this thing, and his defence and his driving has been hard but fair, and that's what we love about the V8 Vets here at the moment. But what that's done is that has brought what was a 2-car battle pack now into a 6-car battle pack with Jim Caperonis, Walker, Gamble, and Latta all joining the back of this train right behind Stewart. Ray Smith has got a bit of breathing room here, but this has created an excellent little battle pack for what is effectively 5th in the race in this top 5 here, and Michael Stewart is working hard out there, on board with him now and his VR setup that we shouted out earlier, trying to catch back up to Ray Smith and have another go, but having to worry about Jim Caperonis behind, who seems to have oodles of pace to give and is trying to work his way through the field.
Here's what baffles me with drivers out there, Brock. You see the way he's got that manual shifter there, that supercar style shifter on his rig. He's in VR. He can't even see where that is. He has to feel where the gear lever is before he shifts.
I gotta tell you, that is just some insane muscle memory from Michael Stewart, knowing, and I'll tell you what, he would know exactly what every button on that wheel of his does. He just knows, and we don't see him blow engines. We don't see him typically lock the rears because of engine over revving. He is so in tune with that VR headset. It's quite impressive.
He really is. He definitely looks like a driver who was half a lap ago a bit stressed. Now that Jim Caperonis has fallen back to about 7-8 tenths behind him, he's a lot easier off at this moment in time. So he's certainly looking at that going, yeah, this is pretty much what I want to see at this moment. Big lunges behind. There goes one. That's going to be Wayne Walker through. Now Scott Gamble on the wrong side of the road to get by Jim Caperonis here. Immediately backs off of it heading into turn 8, but now is going to need to try and find that move. If he's brave, he could get a launch through 11 into 12. It's tough, but Wayne Walker's finally cleared the pick.
Important for his race to do this because he needs to keep picking them off to try and reduce that gap to Jordan Ross. That's the aim at the moment, and Paul Young, excuse me. That is the aim, to try and get as close to them as possible before this second pit stop, because he has to try and negate that fuel advantage that he has to try and get past them. So right now, speaking of Jordan Ross and Paul Young, Jordan Ross right on the back of Paul Young here, and although Young was speedy at the bend, Jordan Ross he brings so much pace. And he's so smooth in these supercars. Looked like he was going to go for a move there at turn 17, but nope, he's going to bide his time and see where he can get to. Let's see where he can get on the next lap here.
11.5 seconds difference in the stop between 2nd and 7th. Between 3rd and 7th, just 4 seconds difference, and the gap is 3.5. So Jordan Ross about half a second behind the 8 ball, we believe, at this moment. But a move on Paul Young would certainly help. He gets close. He starts bringing that gap down, but it's not enough. There's a car off in the background. That's Jim Caperonis, who was up there, who was making progress. But that final corner proves to be difficult then, and it looks like he might have had himself a bit of help through the corner. Kenneth Latta into the back of him as they were all closed up trying to get it slowed down on the brakes, and Jim's gone around for it.
Yeah, unfortunate one for Jim there, considering he was doing really well and holding his own. But we'll flash to now Paul Young and Jordan Ross. Jordan, you can just tell he wants the position. He was just about down the inside there. Not quite going to happen. We go through the series of right-hand turns here. Amazing flowing part of the circuit. difficult to perfect, but Young will keep the position through here. No opportunities at the moment, but this is all critical to set up through here. I believe it's down, what will come through here is down to turn 13. Not really an overtaking opportunity as they come onto this little mini straight, but you can make it if you want to. Jordan Ross not letting any of that pressure off on Paul Young as they come into the final sector of this circuit.
Well, you've got to give credit to Paul Young in the way that he's holding his defence, the way that he's keeping himself steady in this one. He's done a wonderful job. Matty Mascord has stayed with this group, so because Paul's having to be slowed, it's very much tougher as they go. David Kirby now has been given the black flag by Race Control out there, so he's going to be put at fault for something that's happened on the restart, Brock, and that's going to mean he's going to have to come down the lane, and that will not count as a compulsory pit stop.
No, and that'll be hard for Kirby. Kirby's one of our regulars who carries a bit of pace. Wayne Walker down the inside of Michael Stewart into the last turn there. Michael giving him a lot of room and respect there as they'll go side by side, but I think Walker will get this one done on the inside. In fact, should pull into the racing line. There he goes. Stewart looking like he wants to do something about it. Probably won't here. Walker definitely has the pace and he will continue on. So Wayne is continuing his charge through the pack and Scott Gamble is not far behind as they try to chase down Jordan Ross.
Well, Jordan Ross is forcing very heavy defensive lines right now from Paul Young. He was very defensive into turn 3 and this might open up turn 6. Here comes the launch down the inside now. You can't block to go and make these moves, so he has to leave the door open because he's already had one defense over the course of the lap. Jordan Ross just sidles his way by, finally gets it unlocked, and now it'll be Matty Mascord's turn. Try and get in. Finally the clearance there, but it comes at the right time because Wayne Walker's going to be on the noisy pedal trying to chase back up to Ray Smith, and so now it's about, can I catch Travis Hunt, who's 2.2 down the road.
I think we'll see some of Jordan Ross's fastest laps coming in here as he tries to take that lead and continue to extend that gap to the likes of Walker and Gamble. And we're going to go shoot back in the pack here. Looks of Darren Lobb, and we've got contact side by side through those right-handers, which you wouldn't normally expect guys to be side by side to. That's Ricky Hyde and Michael Whiting, who I would have expected them to both be off into the weeds there, have actually managed to keep it going really nicely, albeit with a bit of contact, but that was some brave stuff from those guys for a really high-speed part of the circuit.
Yeah, when you run through 11 into 12, you're hoping that you've not got a car alongside, and when you do, you're just trying to hold on to a car that loves to oversteer and also loves to understeer at the same time. So you're not truly sure how the car's going to respond until you're in the middle of it. And this is the sort of car that once you learn how to understand this one, you can understand every other car on the iRacing service. Such is the difficulty. Bit of side by side. Scott Gamble now has got himself alongside here with the likes of Michael Stewart. He's stuck on the outside, 3 wide. Kenny down to the inside, locks up an inside front in the Fishy Motorsport car. That brings Stewart a chance through 2, but it's going to have to give it up here into turn 3. Gives him a little shove to the back, and look at what it's done. Welcome back, Jeff Thomas, Andrew Rushworth, and Mark Poynton. They're all together again, but uber aggressive from Kenneth Latter right now. He knows how tough he needs to be. Scott Gamble now up into 7th, and he is on the hunt to get back to Wayne's World.
Oh, and Jake, I've nearly thrown my hands into the ceiling fan I've got in here at the moment. With that move, I was thinking it was all over, and we've got the dual screen Kenneth Latter view at the moment there for everyone at home, just if you wanted to get half and half. But that was a wild move from Latter. He saw the opportunity that Scott Gamble was creating. We got Scott on the left and Ken on the right there, and I thought it is going to be game over, and he managed to pull it up. Great driving from the likes of Stewart and Gamble to facilitate that, so no one got taken out, but shows the intensity of these races. We're only a quarter of the way through this.
Oh, he's been black flagged.
As I say that, Latter's been black flagged.
Oh, we caught that. We would have needed a little bleep if we had ourselves a bit of audio quality there with Kenneth Latter. He is not pleased that he's been done for it, and he would have been done for the instant that he had there with Jim Katsaronis. So that makes a world of difference out there at the moment, because Kenneth knows his race is done, and every time he goes through the corner, you almost need one of those MotoGP lean angle graphics out there, Brock, with the way that he tries to will the car through the corner.
That's exactly it. And we're just looking at this replay now of Ladder on Caperonis, and it just looked like really there was a little bit of overlap there where Ladder was trying to get back in line with him. So they're side by side out of turn 17, the last corner here, and Ladder's just down the inside, breaks a bit later, but at the end of the day, he's got into the rear of Caperonis, and it's really it's a open and close case there. Then he's gotten into the back, Caperonis has ended off, and Ladder's continued on. So that's probably a pretty easy one for race control. But that has meant, as you said, Ladder's race has just become a whole lot harder after not a great start to the season already.
It might be one where he's looking at this as a drop round, and that's not what you want to be doing 2 rounds into the season going, one's already gone out there. You want those in the middle of the season where it doesn't quite click. Now, Ray Smith here for Infinity Motorsport has the Accelerate Sim Racing car of Wayne Walker, the 217, just behind, and looking to try and open up that move to go into the top 5 with a pass here. But Wayne knows that he's caught the back of Ray Smith, and Ray has certainly upped the pace a little bit since that has been caught down. Now you've got to try and find the best place to go and get that pass. It's easy to go and say, look, I'm going to be close, but you've got to try and find that way to get through. Running through the small chute transfer into turn 14, half a second over the last 2 laps, but this is the key here. Ray Smith knows that it's half a second to catch. It's not going to be half a second to get by. It's going to be a case of you're going to be stuck for a little bit so long as you hold your apexes.
And at the end of the day, yes, these guys are probably racing slightly different races with different pace and everything, but Ray Smith is just as much able to defend his position and fight for what he's got there. Just because Wayne Walker's been one of the heavy hitters in the series recently, doesn't mean that Ray Smith needs to let them by. As we've seen someone has spun around at turn 17. Rushworth, unsure what's happened, whether he's been helped, whether he has done that himself.
No, he's been helped. So it's Mark Poynton who's got into the back of Andrew Rushworth as the leader, Travis Hunt, came into the pit, and there was a very poor rejoin around by the likes of Rushworth because it's caught Dean Logsdale in it. So here's the hit, 17, he gets the tap, he keeps the throttle in, trying to get out of the way, and bang, Logsdale's down on the inside trying to avoid it, and the 9.5 SimSport car has nowhere to go. And I think you're going to get dinged for that every single day if you have a rejoin like that. Contact, yeah, that's absolutely not his fault. That, you've got to try and stop. You've got to hold the brakes.
Yeah, I completely agree there, Jake. I think that when you have an incident like that, you need to be the most predictable you can be, and that's holding the brakes. And if you gas it up and try to, I know what he was trying to do. He's trying to get to the infield, but you've got cars coming that are trying to avoid you. You just need to be the most predictable you can be. And I think any day of the week, that's probably going to be a penalty, unfortunately, there. As we just see Travis Hunt, in the midst of all of this, come out from his first pit stop of the race there. So he's now come in and relinquished that race lead to Jordan Ross, who's now up the front there. So that'll be interesting to see how this all works out for Travis. He's taken a full load of fuel there, and we'll see where he shakes out after that second stop.
So that will pretty much get him all the way home, but he does have one compulsory pit stop left, which, Brock, as far as I'm concerned, he'll only need to take 1 litre at the stop.
Exactly, yeah. Look, he's pretty much put it in a good spot here where tyres-wise, he could make it to the end, albeit it'll be a little bit rough and he'll be sliding around. But as far as fuel's concerned, it's just going to be a bit of a formality, really, for him.
Speeding on the gun, Matty Mascord here is going to be in a world of hurt, and he will have to stay an extra 50 seconds down there in the lane. He needed to be aggressive into the pit, and he has overcooked it. It is a very slow pit lane here, just 40 kilometers an hour. I know residential neighborhoods where you can go quicker.
And not just a very slow pit lane, Jake, but a very short entry where you're coming off an acceleration zone into a braking zone to get into the pits, and you're trying to go from 150 kilometers an hour down to 40 here in these cars that have no ABS. It's extremely difficult to do it efficiently without losing too much time, but also not breaking the rules there, and Matty Mascord has unfortunately been the victim of that one.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why that is such a slow pit lane is because this is a circuit with an astronomically tight transfer lane in it, Brock. So they have to protect the virtual crews that are working on these cars by putting the speed to such a low pace. Mark Poynton getting hit then with a penalty. He'll have to come down into lane.
tell you what, this is really interesting to see. So Mike Point will have copped that for that contact on Andrew Rushworth there. And Jake, you pegged that straight away as soon as it happened. And I'm seeing a lot more intensity early in the season than what we saw at the Bend, which was around the middle of the season in season 25. So these guys are racing, they're pushing for keeps, they want to get these early points and really make an impact on their season early and try and actually get up on the board. So although we've got drop rounds, although it's a 10-round season, round 2, the intensity is high, the competition is high, they're wanting to make an impact early.
A look at Ray Smith, who's just lost the place out now to Scott Gamble, and he'll be there thinking, right, how am I going to get myself back through? I can only run the race I can. These guys are quicker than me at the moment, but if I can stay with them, if I can catch their toe and stay on with what they're doing, I'm still in for a really good result today with what is being brought forward. So I would look around at Ray Smith and say, this is a good run at the office. This is a good day to be having yourself up in P5 and strategizing the way that's needed. And in case he's going to be having any issues out there, as in also comes Troy Stone Street for a pit stop, he's got the racing belts on him, Brock, so he's not going to be going anywhere if he gets involved in an incident.
You know what? One thing I love to see is operational health and safety, and Ray Smith has got the noodles. He is ready for anything that gets thrown at him, and that's exactly how he has approached this race. And now we're looking at this battle between Christian Smart, John Gallen, Chad Lewis, and Greg Sharp here towards the back of the pack at the moment. Sharp's just off the back of this one, but John Gallen is trying to make moves happen after that first lap incident involving his teammate. Down the inside of Smart, not going to make it happen there. And as we never mind, that was, I think Smart's gotten a little bit loose there and into Gallen. Everyone's going to play on, but not what you want to see when it was. I thought it was all going to go line of sterns with this these right-hand turns here, but Chad Lewis, the ultimate benefactor out of that one.
I've had a look at them off camera. They have been throwing moves and moves. We take a look at the slideshow here from John Gallen as he works hard into the corner, trying to get out of turn 12 and back on the power again, knowing that Greg Sharp's behind him. So this is going to be where you have to just motor, absolutely motor, and try and find these moves. And this is why you see drivers fall a lot further behind and you see a lot more moves further back. It's because drivers at the front know how to pick and choose. Drivers like Christian Smart here, who we got the focus on at the moment, Chad Lewis and John Gallen, they throw moves effectively like it's money to burn.
And look, when you're starting that far back in the pack, that's what you've got to do, right? Like we know Christian Smart is a fast driver. We routinely see him in the top 20 or top 15 of this championship. Him being back in 24th and qualifying 34th is not what we expect from him. So he will have that in mind of trying to get further up the field, make an impact, get a good result for Fishy Motorsports, and really have a good night out here in round 2. But you're exactly right, he's throwing those moves. Now we're looking at Lord McKee and David Nash at the moment. So another little battle we've got going on here. Both of these guys, Lord McKee up 10 and David Nash up 6, so really on good runs tonight, and both looking to try and improve that.
Simon Haynes, though, right now is making a huge statement, Brock, in front of these two for driver of the day. Plus 20.
That is very impressive from Simon Haynes, and considering the competition, some of the incidents we've seen, he's kind of combined what we talked about earlier, which is that you've got that Adelaide mindset of just survive, and you've got to have that outright speed, and it seems he's got a combination of both to get up to 8th place here today, as well as a bit of that strategic mindset.
And that strategic mindset is really coming into play. We're seeing that in the way that this is being driven about here from him. He has just worked himself into play. A short stop has helped that, 22.7 in the box at his first stop, so he will be one of the first to come in, make his second stop and try and get himself home. But at least for the moment, he's found the pocket, he's stayed out of trouble, and he's done well. Nash just behind, closes right up underneath Lorne there, trying to work out where to go, where to make that move, and it is the Mustang Chevrolet battle out there. Nothing between them out there as they work through and get themselves sorted on the runs in terms of what their cars are worth, but there's always a case of my brand is better than yours, as Lorne at the moment has the, I would say, galloping room away at the moment in front as the Mustang.
And I'll keep it unbiased considering we support all sim races, but I got to say that Mustang does look pretty good out there on track. But he will be hoping that the horses take him galloping away down the track to try and chase down Simon Haynes and take away one of those hard-earned positions that he has gained in this race. But Lorne has more to worry about. Right now he's in defence mode. He's trying to keep David Nash behind him, and Nash is looking very strong in the braking zone. Just can't quite get alongside him, but is looking like he wants to work his way higher into this top 10 and solidify a solid result early in this season.
Yeah, early points are going to be huge, and this is what we're seeing here from a driver like David Nash, for example. He's just going to try and pick up those points. Doesn't matter how they come about, doesn't matter how you get them. He's just going to try and work into a position which is going to manage that. Fastest lap now in the back pocket of Troy Stonestreet. That is going to be enough then to hold that, but won't get the point unless he's inside the top 10, so keep that in mind. Jamie McKnight a little bit further back then in the group, 22nd position. We'll be looking behind him at Darren Goosey trying to work a way through. They've got Dean Flavell just in front, and then Smart and Lewis, who have picked up pace, who are trying to hold themselves in this group. Up the hill at 13, then looking over to turn 14, which is a lot heavier on the brakes. This passing corner, just 100 clicks through this section before trying to work through the next left-hander. 110 back on the power again, and now you're working on this exit. It's flat through turn 16 as Darren Lobb gets the changing up then with Tim Mulford a little bit further in front. They're working hard through the final corner, and Tim just going to be short there as Darren Lobb gets the pass from 33rd on the grid. Now up to 13th. Here's another driver who finds himself plus 20 for DPR. Darren Lobb having a great throw of things at the moment. Mulford aggressive on the brakes in the 888 car on the side. It's the 085 that he'll be running in. Tim as he now tries to work away to go and get this one running on through as the Phoenix Racing Team machine now looks at this next left-hander at turn number 5. Now will eye up turn 6. A lot of grass being clipped up there through that section, trying to open up as much corner as possible, leading into the corner at 70 kilometers an hour, just not quite being able to open up and get that move, but now looking to launch along these consecutive right-hand bends. That's where the GT circuit goes on the left-hand side, but getting the feedback that's needed off the exit, Brock. But we're seeing Darren Lobb having a wonderful run. He's just made his pass for plus 20.
Yeah, Darren Lobb, this is someone we were just talking about as our driver of the day earlier in the broadcast, is from 14th to 3rd. So he started way back compared to where we expected to see him, but he is now working his way through towards his top 10, up 20. Obviously qualifying didn't go his way, but he's really starting to show that pace that he's got and make an impact on this race. And now, speaking of someone else who started, I believe, on the last row of this one, Dean Flavel, he's now in 21st and leading this little battle pack here with McKnight, Goosey, Smart and Lewis, who we were just chatting about earlier as well. And Flavel is trying to work his way through this race as well and make some positions up from what was a poor qualifying.
Yeah, he's trying to work his way up. He's done well to gain his places. It's a 5-car group that's trying to work itself into position here. They fight into turn 17, all of them together in line. Little wide off the exit though there from Jamie McKnight. That's going to open up Darren Goosey's chance now to attack off the exit to get this launch along the main straight, but everyone's got slipstream on everyone else, and so that's going to cover off any moves down into turn number 1. They're going to jam on the brakes here, hope to find themselves an opportunity if they can get it all slowed, but nobody in line to make it happen. A little bit loose and wayward though from Dean Flavell. He was in no man's land there compared to the apex, and that's brought them right back underneath him. Some uninvited pressure from an unforced error.
Yeah, if I was Dean Flavel, I wouldn't have wanted to lock that brake because he had that nice little cushion there where he didn't have to worry too much about the guys behind. And Jamie McKnight is one of the stalwarts of our community in V8s. We know he knows how to wheel and deal one of these supercars on the service. So I wouldn't want him right up behind me. And Dean, I'm sure, is cursing himself for making that mistake. And McKnight hasn't let him get away with too much here at the moment, despite some of that pressure he's getting from behind from like McKnight, Goosey, and Smart and Lewis there.
So we'll look a little bit here. Ray Smith has dropped the place. Then Michael Stewart has gone through, and I think this is just running wide at turn 13. He's overcooked it under brakes, and it's so easy to do when you're in the rhythm. You can see downhill braking zone. He's trying to get it slowed up. Car just doesn't respond to him, Brocky.
No, and that one there is a really hard one to get the car going and get it turned into the corner and then get going. So particularly considering we're a little bit further into this stint now, like most of these cars pitted on what was effectively lap 2, lap 3 at the time. So these tyres will just be starting to feel the brunt of 15-odd racing laps, 14, 15-odd racing laps on a warm racing surface, battling in dirty air, and we're going to start to see some more of these mistakes. So 26-degree, there you go, temperature there on track. So that's warm. It's not hot, but it is warm. And when you're stuck in dirty air, sometimes the tyres start to go off a little bit. You have to really manage that over a stint. So I imagine most of these guys here, to look back at the strategy aspect of it, will try to make it as far as they can through this race before their second pit stop and their second set of tyres. But more and more mistakes that happen like that, they may be tempted to come in earlier and get that last dose of fuel with their tyres earlier to prevent those mistakes.
Just outside the top 10, Dave Arney, who is up 11, fighting with Andrew Rushworth for position as it stands with Nash and McKee just in front. I did want to touch on the leaders though, because Paul Young has kept it within a second, and he's done really well to stay with Jordan Ross. Wayne Walker closing in a tenth quicker than those two drivers as well. I think it's telling that Jordan Ross might be burning the tyre up a bit more than Paul Young, who's on 3-lap older tyres, or is on same strength tyres, sorry, I should say, but has less fuel in the car, which is meaning he's actually using less of the tyre because there's less weight to shift across the car through the corners.
Yeah, that's a really good point there, Jake. And you know, Paul was fast here at the bend last season, so we can see that speed just starting to come to him with that lesser fuel on board and that lesser, you know, as you said, that weight that doesn't need to be transferred through the tyres. So he's starting to find just a little something underneath him. Now, I will point out the pit box time there. So Paul Young's stop was about 7 seconds less than the likes of Jordan Ross. So what this means is that Paul would need to get past Jordan then up the road by a number of seconds. But
oh, hello.
On
Jeff Thomas, this is the start of the stint then. Second stop starting.
Very good point out there, Jake, and that means that this is the beginning of the second stopper. So he's gone pretty much bang on middle race distance. So this goes to what we were talking about, tyres potentially going off. Maybe want to get out of that train, that draft train you were talking about earlier. Ricky Hyde's in as well. So we're starting to see some people just test some different strategies, and this will be their last stop of the race.
Yeah, so this will be get the fuel in and get yourself sorted at halfway. You're good to the end. If a safety car were to come out, you'd really profiteer, because as everybody would dive in the pit, you don't have to. That's where you're starting to see the differences being made. Up off the exit then, we focus again with Dave Arney. Look how close Andy Rushworth is at this moment. Andrew is trying to find any chance he can to gain back the places that he would have lost earlier on. He's really working hard through the right, left, back into the right of turn 12, but he finds himself offline there for turn 12, trying to take that big wide line at 11, and he sees in front as well. That's David Nash still trying to figure out if he can find a move at 13 ahead of Lord McKee. So that's a train that's going to become 5. Darren Lobb on the back of it, and you can see up there, top right, just how much rubber's been discarded already in this race.
And that's going to make moves even more treacherous. You know, we're at lap 21 of 41 here. We're half race distance, and already you're going to have to be really calculating those moves you make depending on what part of the circuit you make it, because the windscreens here are covered in dirt and rubber, and if you look on the track as well, there's rubber off the racing line in certain areas, and those high wear areas. So these guys have to be... We've seen them throwing moves, and we've got a couple more, one more pit stopper, excuse me, there, who has come in. Lord McKee has thrown into the pits there, Mackay, and now he will relieve himself while the others go out there and keep wearing their tyres. So Jake, I don't know about you, I would have expected them to go a little bit deeper to preserve those tyres, but we're seeing some guys throw in the towel after about that 15 to 18 lap mark since safety car.
I don't think that's too untoward. I think they're looking to 50-50 the stint, so they feel if I'm going to get the best of these tyres, I might as well have half of it on one stint, or one set of tyres, and half of it on another. I think that's going to be telling. Tim Mulford also in the pits with an 11.7 second stop, so we are seeing huge differences. They're now working towards turn number 6 here. Big group of 5 here. Brunt, Caparonis, who had the spin, Hall, Sanderson, and Whiting, all in this group right now, inside the top 20, and hoping they all have a great day at the office with the way they're driving.
Yeah, good recovery for Caparonis after that spin earlier as well. Dan Hall is one of our favourites to watch work through a race as well. He manages to start up the back but really work his way through there. Wayne Sanderson and Michael Whiting as well. Just keeping it relatively clean, working their way through. Looking at Dan Hall now, took on mostly a full fuel load, and in fact we'll get to go on board with him on the Zoom wall here as well and watch him with his 4-screen setup. JRT on the top screen, love that. I'm running JRT myself here on my right screen, but his triples there, great setup. We love always being on board with Dan Hall, and he manages to work his way through the field despite qualifying that don't work so well on board in Sim now, as he continues to see if he can weasel his way through to potentially a top 10 here. We'll see how he goes. He's up 11, so we'll see what he can make for us.
And a pass made as Darren Lobb goes through on Andrew Rushworth. Turn 18 gets the job done. So another pass then gets done in front as we are focused with Dan Hall. Happy in this group of 5. There is Darren Lobb now. 23 gained and into the top 10. He's proving he's got the pace here to make it happen. In comes Michael Whiting for his final stop of the day, but now he's eyeing up Arnie, he's eyeing up Nash here. Darren Lobb is in the zone and the DPI car is motoring.
Yep, he is absolutely feeling the goods in that DPR Mustang, and this isn't even excuse me, turn 17. I apologise, I got my turns mixed up there. This is exactly what you said earlier, Jake, is turn 17. Later in the race, it could be a move that you make, and he went side by side, and even with a bit of a slide, he made that work. So a really confident move that got it down the inside, and great respectful racing there. But he's continuing to move his way up at the moment, and with the pace he's got going, it wouldn't be a bad guess to see him in the top 10 after all these pit stops unfold.
No, it wouldn't be a bad guess at all. I want to put attention to the race lead. Look at that gap. It is 0.4 of a second. Paul Young has been putting the Phase 4 motorsport machine into play. He's had a lap here, a lap there, just to lose a couple hundredths and thousands, and then bang, when he sees Jordan Ross on the 54.3, I'm keeping the same pace, and I'm keeping this one honest, and it's bringing Wayne Walker back into this race as well, and that's the last thing Jordan Ross wants in this race. If Wayne's within 4 seconds, he is very much in this one for the victory. So on the brakes into turn 1 again, Paul's not going to make that move, but he is going to keep Jordan Ross honest, and that's the scare for the championship leading 143.
That's exactly it. And looking at the times at the moment, Wayne Walker is the fastest of this top 3, and he's the one who is best suited on pit stop time to jump both Young and Ross at this next pit stop. So all this has done, this battling here between Ross and Young, is brought Walker right back into this and given him the opportunity to retake the race lead, really, even if only by a second or so. But right now, if he stays where he is, he will ultimately benefit from this one as we start to see some more people come in. Rushworth, Goosey, Smart and Poynton all coming in for their second pit stop of the race. So we're starting to see more of the field cleanse themselves of their compulsory pit stops, but our top 3 at the moment stay on track. Walker chasing Young, Young chasing Ross, and waiting to see who blinks first.
Well, you'd expect it to be Paul Young, just on fuel number, really. There's not much you can really say about it, except Paul is keeping this one close, and I wouldn't have expected it to be next 3-4 laps, probably, to get that launch, to get that jump through turn 15 into 16. They'll go. Jordan Ross just holding himself steady. He doesn't feel worried. He doesn't need to defend. He doesn't need to do anything untoward. He's not under immediate any pressure to lose the place. He just knows he's under pressure, that if he just steps out of line slightly, he'll be on him like a rash. So keep an eye on it, because as they go through turn 18, maybe does Paul Young decide to pull it off left? Not yet. He'll take another go around, and that gap down to 2.7 now here to Wayne Walker. Look at the times, 54.3s for the pair of them, a 53.9 again from Wayne Walker. He takes another 4/10 off.
Yeah, Walker is very close to some of his best lap times of the race at the moment as he chases down the likes of Ross and Young. So he is feeling confident. He's won with the car. He is definitely in a rhythm at the moment, chasing them down, and he can smell victory at the end of this one. You know, we're really not that far from the end of this race, and we've still got that pit stop to go for some of our drivers. So Paul Young there, just looking towards the inside of Jordan Ross. Probably more of a tactic to try and throw him off. We know how stead-hard Jordan Ross is. You know, you won't throw him off with tactics, but Paul Young's trying anything just to try and gain the extra tenth or two he needs to make a move at the moment. But Jordan Ross staying strong at the front of this thing, all the while bringing in Wayne Walker closer and closer and ruining that advantage he had from that first pit stop.
The biggest stop being Scott Gamble, who has now come in, made his stop and left pit lane. So that's going to send the chain reaction through of every one of the leaders there. The Evolution Racing Team driver, who was the pole sitter here today, now looking to try and get his final stop sorted, and it might just wake up drivers around him like Walker, like Young, like Ross to go, okay, well, if he gets a couple laps on those tyres and he's got himself an undercut, he might bring himself into picture. That's the one thing they'll be looking at and they'll be trying to avoid.
Absolutely, and I think that right now, this lap here will be interesting to see who pits. Now that we know Gamble's come in, Ross through, Young through, Walker's in. So that's very telling. There you go, Jake. You were bang on with that prediction there. Does anyone react? Walker is in. He'll get those new tyres, but what that means is he'll have a lap of new tyres that Young and Ross won't, and with that fuel advantage. So he just needs to put in a really good out lap, and Ross and Young need to be driving their hearts out of this thing at the moment. We're going to look back at the field here at, I believe, Matt Brunt and Jim Caperonis, who Matt Brunt is up 19 positions and Caperonis up 9 as they both come into the pits now.
Christian Smart's been involved. I saw some smoke at turn 1. Wayne Sanderson ended up turned as the stop time there is for Wayne Walker still, who's trying to get it all done. 12.1 seconds in the box. Simon Haynes a bit longer. And I'm looking at where drivers are going to be coming out by comparison then as they come out of the pits. Walker is going to be clear. He'll be behind John Gallen as Scott Gamble. He won't lose, but this outlap's going to be key here for Wayne. He might have to pass John Gallen and Chad Lewis on track if he wants to get the pace to get up to Jordan Ross and Paul Young. This is critical right now. He's not been afforded space.
No, that's it. And these guys, while they are pacey, they're in split 1 of the V8 Vets Championship here. Walker does have speed on them, so he has to make something work here. The advantage over Jordan Ross really is only a couple of seconds when Walker pitted in, so this is going to be critical here. Ross still under a lot of pressure from Young at the moment. We'll see if they pop into the pits this time around, and even Ross a little bit wide there as he's clearly pushing on and trying to make the most of what he's got left in his tyres and his car at the moment. We'll see if they come into the pits here, but it is all on for Young and old.
Well, they're both going to dive in at the same time, so this will be a battle of pit. A big look up there by Jordan Ross. He's got it slowed, but he is lucky. He locked those up, and he was sailing straight on, needing to get the time on pit lane. It shows you how fine the margins are. He was just under the gun at the stripe. And so now with Michael Stewart also jumping in and making that call, you ask, where is Wayne Walker right now? He's heading himself to turn 17, and this is where the race is going to be won or where it's going to be lost. He cleared one car, did Wayne Walker. He got one sorted in John Gallen. Can he clear Chad Lewis's? No. But remember, Jordan Ross has got a pretty quick run to get up to speed, and it's going to be right on the racing line. It's going to be close between them. Jordan Ross is off the Jackson away. Here comes Wayne Walker down the straight. He's got the jump.
Wayne Walker has got it. He's done really well there. The pace he showed through the middle of the race has been excellent. Scott Gamble just setting the fastest lap of the race there as well. So now, there's still time in this race here. Jordan Ross is fast. Yes, the strategy hasn't quite worked out for him. He was battling Paul Young a bit there, but now the question is, can he catch Wayne Walker and try to take this win back and take 2 in a row here in the V8 Vets Championship? I'm curious to see it. Walker's got a fairly good gap there, but now it's on for Young and Odd. It's all about the pace on the track. It's all about what you can do. No strategy, no nothing. I'll be really curious to see who ends up on top of this one.
They're still waiting for Darren Lobb and John Gallen to make their stops for effectively the net top 5 here now, Brock. What a train of 5 we got with Jeff Thomas, Michael Stewart, David Nash, Lorne Mackay and Ray Smith all there together. There's the group as they stand, and it is about 3-4 seconds at the front. But this group of 5 now, for a top 5, they're all looking at each other going, well, come on, one of us wants it.
Oh, and you're exactly right, Jake. One of us wants it. It's just about which one's going to get it at the end of this race here. And all of these guys, like, I can tell you, Jeff and Michael, we've seen the top 5 before. I think David, Lorne and Ray are racing really well. We've typically not seen them up in the top 10 consistently. So the fact that they're up there fighting with some of our regular top 10 drivers is excellent to see. And they're not letting these guys get away with anything. Because in the background there, we've actually seen Smith go down the inside of McKee in a really irregular overtaking zone. So that was well done.
Turn 14's not a place you normally see it happen, but he picked up the run out of 13, and that left it all in there to happen. So great pass sorted, as you've now got Stewart trying to work away by Jeff Thomas here, trying to figure out where it is you need to be, where the pass is going to have to be done. Darren Lobb is in the pit stop right now, and he's just leaving the lane. Darren Lobb might get all of them here if he's not careful. He's getting up to speed now. He'll be right out in front of all of them. In fact, he'll be right in the middle of it. Watch out on the rejoin. 3 wide as they go through. This is the pick that Michael Stewart was looking for. Straight down the inside, looking to try and get this move. Can't get it done at 1, but if he holds it around the outside at 2, he's got the inside at turn 3. Shoves one down the inside. Lobb then looks to try and get himself through. He does so on David Nash, but now as they run themselves to 4 and 5, Michael Stewart on 5 on the outside. Needs turn 6 to be in his favour. He runs himself out of road. Darren Lobb's going to get straight back up to speed, straight down the inside, and he'll get 1. He might even get 2. Contact at the junction, and there's going to be everyone scattering.
Wowee, I can't say the Australian colloquialism I was thinking of in my mind for Darren Lobb, but he is not hanging around. He is just straight out of the pits going, I am here to make up positions. I need this for my championship. And already, even with that contact on Thomas, and I see that as fair racing, everyone's side by side getting together, he's already looking to make this move here, which, if he does it here, this is going to be brave. This is going to be brave from Darren Lobb. He's going to try and make it work on Thomas. Oh, my goodness. They're side by side making contact at the moment. Turn 14, side by side again. Jeff Thomas should get this through here. Jake, Darren Lobb is not mucking around.
No, he's pushing through the corner. He's using the chrome horn. He's using everything in his toolbox to get this move. Now pulls to the inside at 17. I've got pace. I'm going to burn it straight down the inside, and Jeff Thomas has nothing for it, but he has to leave that run. But Race Control are looking at what happened at turn 6 there, so Darren Lobb is going to have a little bit of a look in the mirrors at whether he needs to build some gap or not. Great move from him, from 33rd all the way up to 6th, what should be 5th when John Gallen pits. Oh, bye-bye!
It's fun!
Just like that, turn across the nose into turn 1. All that hard work, it's dashed.
Wow, that's a big one. That is very odd there. Lobbs just reported at the race control. There was just it looked like Thomas was not expecting him to brake or something. It just it was very, very weird. Not something we've seen before there, but very unfortunate for Lobb, who had so expertly worked his way through. We're going to have a look at a replay here right from the start of the straight. So Jeff Thomas is actually quite a ways behind Darren Lobb at the moment here, down to the turn 1. We'll wait to see where the braking happens.
He's missed his mark.
Watch brake from Jeff Thomas, maybe?
I think he's just missed his mark. I think he's just missed it. 5'10", maybe he's been a little slow into it, and he's gone straight into the back of Darren Lobb, who has made no bones there going through turn 2 of letting Jeff Thomas know exactly how he felt of that incident. I think it's a genuine, honest mistake there from Jeff Thomas, but he has missed his mark, and he has gone straight into the back of him, and that has really cost the race for both of them out there. And suddenly, it's David Nash who is net 5th.
And I'm sure very happy to be there and not be involved in that incident. So he will be, I reckon, David, if he can bring it home 5th and, you know, net 5th at the moment and then 5th overall, he will be very happy with that. In saying that, he's not got an easy run to this race. You know, we've still got 11 or 12 laps to go here. Nash has got Ray Smith, Michael Stewart, Lorne McKee, and then Darren Lobb just at the tail end of this pack here. All guys who have shown top 5 pace in this race. So I wouldn't say it's a one and done thing for David Nash. This is going to be probably one of the hardest races he's had to score a good result in this championship here tonight at the Bend.
It is going to be a very tall order run as Michael Whiting now through on Jeff Thomas. I do want to point something out though at the front. Wayne Walker, the gap over the line was 3 seconds. He lost half a second on that last lap, I think, to Matty Mascord. So I look at Jordan Ross. I think if he can keep that pace up, he's good. If he can't, he's not. So Wayne has got to turn the wick up now and keep Jordan Ross at bay.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we've seen Jordan do at times, albeit that he's now losing a little bit of time to Wayne Walker there, is that Jordan he's managed to find pace when he needs it to try and close out a race. And we're just looking at this, we'll wait until come across the start-finish line here. That'll be the real telling factor of where he's gaining or losing time. But you would have been right there, Jake, with Matty Mascord in the background there. Jordan's now dealing with that too. So that might be a reason for the discrepancy in the time. But in saying that, Jordan does still have a really good way when he's by himself to find pace in the car and start catching the leader. And he's got enough time if Walker doesn't have enough left in the tank here, which is really interesting to see.
So that lap difference there, 3/10 the other way. A 53.7 plays a 53.4. So Jordan Ross having to take it a bit easier, about 0.8 of a second slower than what was needed. Finally, John Gallen hits the lane. He's had a great race today, has John, in the 350, and he'll only need a slither of fuel to make it home on the final 10 laps of this race, and the gap already now down to 3.1 seconds then. This lap a lot better from Jordan Ross.
Yeah, he's cleared Matty Mascord now, so he has got clear air between him and Wayne Walker. And there you go, in the background a shot. Now we're focusing on Jordan Ross. Wayne Walker can now see him in his mirrors. Ross can see the back of Wayne Walker on board now as we come through 11 and 12. They can see each other. Wayne Walker will be very well aware of it. Jordan Ross will have the eyes on. He'll want to get this win and just continue stamping his authority on this V8 Vets Championship. Wayne Walker last season didn't quite get it the way he wanted to, had a few incidents, and now he's trying to really fight back and have a chance of winning the championship. And Jordan Ross continuing to show what he does best. Now it's all up to him to try and catch Walker.
Tim Mulford's made his final stop, 14 seconds in the lane, but Jordan Ross knows he can only go forward and chase forward as he'll be looking at 10 laps to go. Top 5, David Nash. If he holds this, he's driver pretty much for me, who is going to get driver of the day, because he is going to have to fight really hard here with Ray Smith, with Michael Stewart, and with Darren Lobb and Lorne McKay as well. So those 5 are all there. If you hold it at the front of this group, this is pressure cooker stuff. You've been given the opportunity. Now you've got to try and fend it off in the 801 car.
Exactly it, Jake. I completely agree. These are some talented drivers behind David Nash. David Nash has won himself, but to hold on without mistakes for the next 10 laps is going to be, or 9 laps after he comes across, 10 laps after he comes across the line is going to be hard stuff. And if he gets it done, plus 11 on the day, that's a really good effort. But long way to go, already going defensive. down into turn one to try and hold off the likes of Ray Smith, who is following in his draft there. They've got a little bit of a snake going down the front straight there. No one going for a move, but all of them playing the games to try and make something happen.
They all want passes. It's just about how they do so. Matt Brunt looking behind at Simon Haynes, who's trying to make through. More contenders for that driver of the day picture. They're up double digits right now. 15 for Matt Brunt there with Jeff Thomas. Behind Haynes is Dan Hall trying to work her way through. And Troy Stonestreet, who is a lap down, or 2 laps down actually in this race, trying to bring himself back after the blown engine that brought the safety car out right at the beginning of this race. Throw to the inside. Simon Haynes from a mile back, missing the apex wildly. There on the outside was Dan Hall, but no move given, just enough room there by Matt Brunt. He left just enough room there to be high and handsome.
Yeah, cars going everywhere there through turn 6 as these guys battle it out, trying to make some final positions in this one. And, you know, Simon Haynes, he's already plus 15, but it's just never quite enough. You always want that next position, and Jeff Thomas has made a mistake there as well.
Yeah, 1, 2, it could be 3 here at turn 13, because pushing through tries Dan Hall. He'll have the line. He was on the wrong side of the road here, and they're going to really scrap for it here. But the pinch on the inside, just overlapping slightly with Simon Haynes, gives the chance to go around the outside of 15. Dan Hall reads the situation brilliantly there, and Thomas gets freight trained again. Stonestreet now is going to try and leapfrog up the group. This isn't for position, so you should just let that one go, Jeff. But Dean Logsdale's there, so too's Dave Arney. Here comes the chance now. Logsdale takes the pick.
Wow, what a late race disappointment for Jeff Thomas there. A small mistake has led to 4 or 5 positions lost there. It just must be so disappointing there. He'll go down the front straight there. Dan Hall up ahead of him. Logsdale behind. He'll keep this position here down to the turn 1, but that'll be a massive disappointment with only a few laps left in this thing. Side by side, Ken Latta in the background there and nearly off the track. Trying to get around Rushworth there, but not quite going to happen. Rushworth fighting for his position as he should, but still plenty of action to go late in this race.
Well, Kenneth Latta had the drive-through penalty to serve. That cost him 35 seconds in this race. He could still be on here for a top 15, even a top 12 if he can get his ear out in the final stages. And Kenneth is a driver who drives a lot better when angry, and that's from experience of seeing him race time and time again. Dan Hall there up 13 spots, having a really nice run of things. Right now, he'll now sit on the back on Matt Brunt, who's trying to run away in this group, and that is a car slow. That's Jim Caparonis again for Southern Cross.
Jim Caparonis, a name we keep coming back to. He hasn't had the night he would have hoped, but my goodness, he is continuing to try and keep himself in the fight at the moment.
So let's take a look here. He's tried to go for a move. This is into turn 6 in the RaceKraft Simulations replay. Down to the inside. Has he got it slow? No, he's overcooked it. He's gone sailing, and Rod Stewart's going to be ringing in his ears as he tries to go and get back and across the waves and grass and gravel and back out onto circuit. 2 places gone. Not
a night Caparonis would be happy with after that contact earlier. Back live now with Dean Logsdale here. Jeff Thomas behind him. It looks like Logsdale has actually gotten past Thomas now as well. So this is not ideal for Thomas. He's already lost out so many positions on that last lap, and now Logsdale has gone past him. Plenty of battling in the background there. Yet another battle pack here. My goodness. That was Arnie and Lewis, who have been together nearly all race. Ladder in front as well. These guys are playing for keeps here as we come into these last few laps.
They know every place is going to matter here. With 8 laps to go, they're going to have to do what they can. Rushworth, Rushy down the inside. He's going to get one, he'll get 2. Logsdale's going to go wide, and there we're going to go on the exit. Jeff Thomas now brings himself into play, but he gets a mega run off the exit of the corner, and that's very cheeky back down the inside by Dean. He'll have the inside now at 10, gives a little bit of door at 9, and says, I've got it sorted, so Rushworth can't get the move done. Then as they head to 11, I think he's going to let it be known that he is not best pleased, that he has lost the place out. Lob as well last lap was through on Michael Stewart. He'll now try and hunt down Smith and Nash for this next stage. But look at this gaggle trying to sort itself out at 13. Outside for Kenny on Thomas. Jeff Thomas, I don't think he's going to have anything for it. He gets turned. He gets turned. Thomas is turned.
Oh, that's unfortunate there for Jeff Thomas. This is just a bad to worse night for him. And I just feel like that didn't have to happen. Now, we have the one camera view there, but it's just, yeah, very unfortunate for Jeff Thomas there. That's all probably potentially another penalty coming Ken Ladder's way there. We'll wait and see what the race tries to say. But looking at Logsdale and Rushworth live now here, they come around onto the start-finish straight. Logsdale made that move last lap and made it stick, but Rushworth very much sticking to the back of him, as you mentioned earlier, Jake. Wanted to make a note, wasn't quite happy about that. Logsdale is quite literally the definition of white lining it at the moment, trying to defend that spot. Rushworth stronger in the braking zone. Logsdale with the better positioning there. Rushworth in turn 2 is going to have the better position. Still side by side in the turn 3 here. Rushworth with the nose ahead. He might just get this done in the acceleration zone out of here. They're still going to be side by side, Jake. This is going to be tense at turn 6.
It will be. Rushworth's got the inside at 5, but Logsdale now can really cut up and under and try and make a move back here. You've got Arnie, Latta, Lewis. They're all there. They all want in, and there's no move offered up then at turn 6. So brilliant stuff between them, but Andrew Rushworth had to fight hard to get the move done and managed it brilliantly. So pressure then finding its worth out there, and Mulford's in the pits again, so something's happened out there at the moment for him. But I'm looking at the gap at the front. It's ballooned out now to over 4 seconds. I think Wayne's okay so long as he keeps it on the island out there at this stage in time.
Yeah, completely agree there. He's managed to just do enough at the moment that no matter what Jordan can throw at him, provided there's no mistakes, is just watching Lewis get past now.
That's Logsdale and co. So you're really getting set up on where everyone is and where everyone's going. In fact, that is Chad Lewis on Mark Poynton trying to recover back through. So you were right there, Brock. Yeah, Mark Poynton now starting to try and charge back up. And Mark Poynton had himself that penalty. He'd been running middle of the field for the longest time. He's still going to get a top 20 out of this. Day of the recoveries.
And you know what? It truly, some days when you don't want to keep going, you just have to in the sim, and it really shows here. These guys who could have had zeros, they will have some points here. Dan Hall now down the inside at turn 1 here on Simon Haynes. Haynes, one of our big movers. Dan Hall as well, turn 3 side by side.
Oh.
No one giving an inch here into the side of each other, and they'll go side by side through down to turn 5 and then the turn 6.
Has anyone told him you got 6 laps? Yeah, round the outside of 5, they're going to lead. Brilliant stuff. Hall's got to go the long way around 6 now if he wants to get it sorted, but he'll have the line off the exit there. It's a little shallow from Simon Hayes. Oh, daddy boy. The pipes, they call for a place of P12 defended.
Very, very well done by Dan Hall there. I was honestly expecting Simon Haynes to have a proper crack there, throw it down the inside, make a bit of contact, but no, Dan Hall played it perfectly there, and has held on to 12th, up 13 on his starting position. We're going to flash it back to David Nash now. We were singing his praises earlier, who is still in 5th. We were saying net 5th earlier. Now all the pit stops are done. He is in 5th and keeping the likes of Ray Smith, Darren Lobb and Michael Stewart behind. I will point out in this battle pack, Darren Lobb has already passed a couple of cars and is hunting down the back of Ray Smith. So although there's only a few laps left in this, Darren Lobb is probably still a threat to David Nash, but so far, Nash is doing very well with the pressure on him.
And very much so. A lap time that was only a banker in qualifying from Darren Lobb put him right down at the back of the pack. He has scrapped 26 places to be up here, but he's got to get by the mercurial Ray Smith. He's got to get by the stoic David Nash in order to get that top 5 from the back, and he knows how tough it is with 5 laps to go. Working through turn 3 and needing the run off the exit. Lob again stays close, but Ray is really good with traction off the exit, and that's the way you're going to do well in cars like these, sporting those SimSpeed gloves. Ray Smith knows in the 5.66 he has just got to hold himself steady, a lot brake, and he'll realise that. I've let him have one.
That's a shame there for Ray. He still raced a great night out here tonight. He qualified well, but I'm sure he would have wanted to try hold off Darren Lobb there for a little bit longer and hang on to that 6th place. But it's just that you said it earlier, and we've said it all night, these supercars, they're hard to drive, easy to make mistakes in, and that it's clear on these older tyres there. But Darren Lobb is through on his continuous charge, up 27 positions now. As now we're going to look back in the field. Jim Caparonis continuing to have his troubles in the back of the field at turn 6 yet again.
John Gallen then gets through because of it, and he's really struggling late on the brakes. We see it quite a lot here, Brock, that drivers on the brakes know they are in a load of struggle to try and get the passes that they want done. If they can't get it done the way they need to, it is going to be difficult. And I've just seen a major lunge down the inside from Kenneth Latta, who's just gone off the road at 15, and that's going to open up the door then for Dean Logsdale. He'll lose a place. Dave Harney just got a double.
And just watching that rejoin from Ken Latta made me take a deep breath there. That everyone did really well there, but he came back onto the marbles, and I thought, oh, it could go bad there, but no, he's slotted straight back into this massive battle pack here that Dave Arney is leading at the moment. He's in 15th, but he has got a pack of angry cars behind him for the last sort of 3 or 4 laps of this one. So Ken Latta definitely has not had a race he would be happy with tonight, and it's just continuing to not go his way.
No, he won't lunge into turn 1. They're all in line. Arnie, Logsdale, McKnight, Poynton, Latta, and Chad Lewis. They're all there. They're all together, and now they've got to try and say, well, it's 6 places, but we've all got to play ball with each other, because if we start knocking the bells out, we're all going to start picking up penalty points by the end of this race. So hold your nerve as you head yourself over towards 5 and 6. That's what the live standings look like. Ross would lead by 11 going into this one. Wayne Walker would tie on points. There's a bit of side-by-side as McKnight fends off Mark Poynton. Now Kenny's got to go to the outside to try and get this move done. The long ways, the tough ways, isn't going to work.
No, it very rarely does through this part of the circuit. It's just so single line, and if you're side-by-side through it, we saw it earlier, a bit of contact can occur. So Latta clearly trying to make a bit of a wriggle on here and make up some points, but yeah, it's just, he could make a couple of positions here, but that desperation doesn't help when you're trying to make up at these positions you've lost earlier in the race. And I think he's just got to be careful and safe here. Same with everyone else. We're so close to the end. Let's just get there. Hard racing's good, but let's make it to the end of this one.
Yeah, you've got to buy your ticket, and at the moment they're a few stops short as it stands. 3 to go for your leaders. Kick a tail from Kenneth Latta out of 15 into 16. They'll move over to turn 17. It won't be enough to make a move, but Latta on the outside trying to find any way to artfully dodge his way through this group to pick a pocket or two. Poynton's is the first, but Jamie McKnight is there in front too, and turn 18, the big drive you need out of here, critical, and the run is there now on the Frog Leap Juice racing car here from one Fishy Motorsport driver being Kenneth Latta. It's covered to the inside all the way. It's a half defence across. It's not enough though. Kenny's still going to try and throw it down the inside. He's not going to get it sorted at 1. He'll need to do it at 3. Long ways it will have to be. And to the inside he does get it sorted. Now here comes Chad's turn.
Yeah, Chad Lewis, he's dropped back a little bit there. Didn't quite get the run he needed out of turn 3 there. Now will fall in behind the likes of Poynton. Ken Latta being very aggressive at this point of the race to try and make those spots up. Poynton trying to make a last-ditch effort down the inside of Latta. Not quite going to make it happen there. So they'll fall line astern at the moment in this very busy little battle pack we've got going on here. I'm going to go a bit further back here to Greg Sharp leading this battle pack at the moment with Gallon, Caperonis and Smart. Now, these are 4 drivers we have kept an eye on through their various trials and tribulations through the race, battling it out for 24th at the moment.
Yeah, so right down further back in the pack, this is what's going to be going on, and they're really working hard here through 11 into turn 12. I'm also keeping my focus on Darren Lobb because he's got an eye on the top 5 here against David Nash, and that is going to be the big battle that we look at. So there is going to be the charge then into turn 13. No real mistakes there from Greg Sharp. John Gallen holding himself gallantly at this moment, but no real sense of a move then being sorted. But again, I'm starting to look over here at David Nash, and he's starting to make defensive postures.
Yeah, we know Darren Lobb has that pace, and this is the time to really start going defensive for David Nash. He's got a fast driver behind him, where within 2 laps of the finish here, now's when you go defensive. You know, this is where you make your mark. This is where you have the opportunity to really get that result, and he's going to try that. You look a bit back further in the pack here at Matt Brunt with Dan Hall behind, Simon Haynes, Andrew Rushworth in this battle pack as well for 11th. Again, some names we've been looking at, but they're what we wanted to watch on the last lap. We'll flick to Logsdale now as well.
Yeah, so all of these drivers know that with just a lap and a half left in their races, there's battles everywhere. McKnight half defending the move then against Kenneth Latter as they work through. We go back up then to 11 and 12 where Darren Lobb's trying to get the DPR car by the Kiwi, David Nash, who's having none of it in the 8:01 as it stands. Your lead gap currently stands at 5.7 seconds for Wayne Walker, who has been walking on water here in the second half of this race, has not panicked at all in this one, has just driven this car absolutely perfectly, made the pass in the stops, and he's given Jordan Ross something to think about in this championship. Scott Gamble there in third. It is a very underrated third, the way he's driven, and Paul Young has done wonderfully today in his 4th place right now. He is island racing. He's 9 seconds near any other car out there, but David Nash at the moment is the story because he's got half a second in the back pocket, and Darren Lobb is going to need to find a bit of a superhero last lap if he wants to go and get this top 5 from 33rd on the grid. Nash started 16th of his own accord. He's had a wonderful race here today with the likes of Ray Smith wanting to pick the pieces up, Michael Stewart on the back as well, hoping for something late, and as well as that, it's on in and around 11th place with Brunt, Hall, Haynes, and as well Andrew Rushworth trying to keep himself close. Over towards turn 6, it's not quite there with David Nash holding himself steady. Any one mistake at this point and Darren Lobb is going to be running here to try and get himself in, and if he steals that top 5, he'll be on the first bus out to Adelaide itself at this moment to get himself out of here from Tailem Bend through turns 8, 9, 10 and working over to 11 and 12 now. Still, the coverage is there. It sorts itself out with no worries. 1 corner left, though, for Wayne Walker, who has just been wonderful out there in racing action. He'll take round 2 at Tailem Bend, and he says it's not going to be a cakewalk today. It's a championship, and I am firmly in the picture.
Excellent performance as we see Jordan Ross come over in second, Scott Gamble in 3rd position. Our top 3 from Adelaide come across the line there. Paul Young in 4th. Strategy worked out well for him there, giving him that position. And now we wait to see David Nash come across the line here. Can he hold off the likes of Lobb, Smith and Stewart behind him? He's looking pretty strong here. 1 corner to go. This 41 lap, 200 kilometre extravaganza here, and he will hold on to a top 5. Plus 11, holding up the hard charging Darren Lobb. Excellent result there for David Nash tonight.
Yeah, that is an incredible defensive work from him, and this is the next group. Matt Brunt is going to come across with 11th, a gain of 16 spots. He's another great contender for driver of the day with Dan Hall and Simon Haynes. They're just behind. And look at this, it's a drag race. Logsdale versus McKnight's a short run to the line. Logsdale's going to hold that one as they fan across at the finish. Brilliant stuff there as they started getting really close together as they come towards the stripe. Gallen's going to cross as well with a little bit of safeness as well. But today, it's Wayne's world, and we're all just living in it as they all make their way over the line. The last car on the lead lap will be Wayne Sanderson. But what a day's worth of racing. It had to be done and conducted within an hour and 21 minutes to go and get itself all sorted and done with. Wayne Walker getting the job done by a case of 5.7 seconds over Jordan Ross. Scott Gamble in the end picking up, Brock, that final spot on the podium, and very understatedly so.
Yeah, I think that it needs to be pointed out that Scott Gamble had a great race tonight. Like, yes, he qualified on pole, didn't quite get there for the win tonight, but still very well run, great, you know, he was great out there, great strategy, and he made it work. So yeah, I think we've got a very well-deserving podium here tonight.
Absolutely. The 5.7 seconds then Wayne Walker has over Jordan Ross is telling, with Scott Gamble finishing off in third. Paul Young, strategy playing a really big part in his race as he finishes fourth ahead of David Nash in the 801 Sim Racing car. What a run from him, with Darren Lobb in sixth and Ray Smith in seventh. They also hold off Michael Stewart in eighth place. They'd finish 1.4 seconds between them. Lorne Mackay in ninth, with Michael Whiting rounding out your top 10. Over the page in 11th, Matt Brunt would have a really good solid run, a gain of 16, with Dan Hall and Simon Haynes then just behind there, with Andrew Rushworth in 14th position. You then had Dave Arney and Kenneth Latter, who had the penalty there in 16th, as Dean Logsdale and Jamie McKnight would be 17th and 18th respectively. Your top 20 rounded out by Mark Poynton and Chad Lewis, both a minute off the pace. Ricky Hyde would be in that gaggle over the line as well in 21st. The old mate and sons car, 22nd for Darren Goosey, with Jeff Thomas and Greg Sharp 23rd and 24th, with John Gallen and Christian Smart 25th and 26th. Jim Caparonis, Travis Hunt and Wayne Sanderson would make the cars on the lead lap, with Dean Flavell dropping back late with David Kirby, who would be the last finisher on the lead lap in 31st position, with just a couple of cars a lap down or retirees. One down for Matty Mascord, two for Troy Stone Street with the blown engine, and Tim Mulford, the only dedicated retiree from racing action here today in your RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship for season 26. Some brilliant racing all around from many of the prospective drivers. We're going to jump in and get a couple of interviews sorted. Walking down the virtual paddock now and over to the Synergy Sim Racing garage at the moment is Brock Cadday. He stood by with Jordan Ross.
G'day, Jordan. How are you, mate? It was a good race out there for you tonight, mate. Obviously keeping up the pace. How did you feel starting that one? The Ben's very different to Adelaide. How did you approach this race?
I approached this race just hoping to get it over and done with, mate. It's not my not that fond of this track. It's very difficult, and yeah, it's probably doesn't suit my style. But mate, yeah, it was good to get it over and done with, and yeah, mate, Wayne Walker blew me doors off tonight, so congrats to him.
Now, Jordan, you say it's one you like to get over and done with, but you still had a very good night out there. Look, talk us through, there was the early safety car and then working through some of the traffic. How did you manage that without cooking the tyres, using too much fuel? Like, what was your mindset just trying to work your way through that middle stint of the race?
Yeah, I actually did cook my tyres in that middle stint of the race, and actually got 4 tyre alarms in that first stint. And yeah, I think Wayne was about 6 seconds back, and he got to within like 2.5 seconds, so he really reeled me in, and that's where the race was lost in that middle stint, when I probably used my tyres a little bit much to get past some of the guys that hadn't pitted. But it's all good, it's over and done with, and yeah, not a bad night, P2, but glad it's over, mate.
And look, I'll ask you one last question, because until you're ready to go have a drink of water and a rest. But Paul Young was fast tonight, and he kept you honest out there. How did you handle that pressure, particularly through that middle stint where he was right on the back here and wanting to make a move.
Yeah, no, he is really fast. He's a really fast guy, and I'm not sure where. Oh, he ended up P4. But yeah, I think he probably got up ahead of me in that by probably taking a little bit less fuel. But I was able to get past him, and then yeah, he did the smart thing and just didn't fight me, and didn't use his tires, and just yeah, you could tell. I got out to about maybe a 2-second gap on him, and he reeled me right back in towards the end there. And yeah, mega fast he was tonight. But yeah, congrats to obviously Wayne and Scotty. They did awesome tonight, and Scott with the pole, I think it was. Awesome time to do a 52 flat in qualifying.
Thanks, Jordan. Well done tonight, mate. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Mate, just all the organisers of V8 Vets, and obviously you guys from SimSpeed for turning up and putting it on. It wouldn't be the same without you guys, so thanks, and I'll hopefully see you next week.
We appreciate it, mate. We look forward to seeing you next week as well. Well done, and we'll chat to you soon. All right, I think we have got Scott Gamble, Jake, in the paddock there, waiting to have a chat to as well, our third place driver.
Yeah, but we will just jump before that to your winner overall here, because Wayne Walker is here with me right now. And Wayne, a day in which it all had itself a bit of a false start with the early safety car that came out, really did shuffle up perspective. But for you, a case of no carb, take as much fuel as I can, settle down into the middle stint that had to be sorted, and then give yourself that platform to take the lead through the final stops.
Yeah, that race, that early safety car, I took as much fuel as I could just to leave enough fuel for the next stop to cover tyres and that. But yeah, there's a couple of people that short fueled and got in front, and sort of took a few laps to get through some of them. But yeah, once I was in clean air, I was able to pull Jordan and Paul Young back in, and then yeah, pitted a lap earlier and got the jump on Jordan, and then yeah, just pushed as hard as I could from there till the end to try and keep a gap.
Talk us through Tail and Ben then, and what makes this place special for you, because it certainly looked like today, in terms of the way you've had to navigate through a various number of cars at stages in this race. You do have to try and earn the passes around this place. They're not just going to give them to you. So talk about how much racecraft is needed in order to try and pick up the result you have today.
Yeah, it's probably one of the harder tracks to pass on. You sort of have to be patient and either get a really good run on the person in front or wait for them to make a mistake. So yeah, it sort of took a bit to get past, but yeah, this track, it's so hard to keep your tyres good. There's a lot of fast flowing corners that yeah, you just if you're pushing a bit too hard, you just kill your tyres. So it's sort of yeah, going as fast as you can without overheating your tyres on this track. So yeah,
you've been able to walk back a couple points now in the championship. We've got you down as tied around for second at the moment, moving into round 3 of the championship, over stateside to Watkins Glen and the Cup layout, which is known quite, I would say, extensively in the V8 community as this super speedway style racetrack. So for you, do you think that brings more people into it than you'd want to, trying to race for a victory next time out? Or do you feel like it's in your wheelhouse that you like to be up at the pointy end of tracks where you're going to have a lot of cars around you?
It's a track that I've done well at before, but yeah, because it's been raced so many times, there is a lot of guys that are quick on that track. So yeah, I'll just have to do a lot of practice and yeah, try and be up the front, battling with Jordan and Scott again.
Well, we'll hope to see you up there in the next week's run of racing. Your winner today, Wayne Walker in the 217 Accelerate Sim Racing car out there. And down the paddock, Brock Cadday has caught up with Scott Gamble, who finished in third.
Scott, welcome back to the comms box, mate. You have had a very strong start to the season, mate. And after last season, feeling a little bit, I know we were talking you a bit downtrodden. This is the perfect start to season 26, mate. Talk us through round 2 at the Bend.
Yeah, Brock, it was, it's a good Aussie track. We were talking in the green room there, it's very hard on tyres. So, the first stint I suffered a little bit and we copped a bit of damage from the rear end there. I think someone pushed someone into me. But, you just sort of dealt with it, and I was just watching, Wayne just skip away 2-3 tenths every lap, and I'm just going, my God, what's he on? He's got this, what's he doing? But, overall, I guess we got to it all evened out in the end. P3 really happy with it. We got to the last 7 laps, and I was just sort of thinking about what I'm doing next week and digging my toes in the sand and sinking piss on the beach, mate. So that was sort of how the run went for me tonight. It was a good result. I'm happy with it.
That's great to hear, mate. We've asked each of our other drivers in Wayne and Jordan what you think of the Bend and heard a couple of different opinions. What's your thought on the track? Do you enjoy it? Do you not? Give us what you think.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's Australian track. I like it. It's hard. It's very, very hard. So technical, and it is those who are very good on their brakes and also that right foot throttle control. They do well here. So very difficult, but that's part of the challenge. And to be up in the top 5 was a goal, and to be in the top 3, and really happy with it, especially around Wayne. He's just hasn't just got so fast lately, and Jordan, which we know he's a Pro Series driver or ex-Commodore, is it, whatever it is, Pro Series driver anyway. But yeah, so the Bend, I think it's a good track. I'd like to see it a couple of times a year, so hopefully we get to see it again later on in the year.
Great, Scott. So look, you mentioned Wayne and Jordan as your sort of main competitors so far this season, and we're coming into the Watkins Glen Cup layout. How do you approach that to make sure you can really take it to them in round 3?
Yeah, well, like I said, I won't. Next week, I'm sitting on that. I'm legit. I'm sitting on the beach, digging my toes in the sand and drinking cans, mate. That's what I'm doing. I wasn't bluffing on you. That's what I'm doing. So I won't be there for Watkins Cup. Hopefully I'll get the surf rods out, spend some time over at place we go every year, and really looking forward to that. But if I was racing Watkins Cup, it's a bit of a crowd favourite. We've done so many laps there over the years in all of the generations of the V8 supercars, and so we know it pretty well. And I mean, it's not just Jordan and Wayne who are who are my rivals. You're looking at Paul Young, you look at Darren Lobb, you look at Ken Latta, Ray Smith, he's getting really fast lately. So there's heaps of good drivers up there, and then if Mackle comes back, and a few other drivers, if they got some good runs as well, they would be right up there, so especially maybe Logsdale, if he got a good run through, he'd be up there as well. So there's heaps of drivers, heaps of competition. So that's why I'm super stoked, mate. To get into that top 5 each week, that's the goal. And so pretty happy with tonight.
Love it, Scott, and appreciate your thoughts on Watkins, even if you'll be relaxing on the beach. And we hope you have a great time there, mate. Look, before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out or thank?
Yeah, look, shout out to ERT. It's been a bit quiet in there, which is good. I like it, at times. When it's like that, we can just get on, do our own thing and leave it to our own devices. But, things will happen again for the team. So it's good to be back there. To the drivers here, it's congratulations. You got around another track, some really good results. I was just looking through the results then, some really good results. So they should be proud of themselves. Well done to Wayne, Jordan, as always. They're so consistent and so fast. And, to you guys, we've been a little bit thinking of cans and that. We've been a bit thirsty of watching ourselves race around on the track from the broadcast. So look forward to doing that again. So thank you guys for broadcasting, and to the Vets guys community. Cheers. Hope you've had a good Christmas and a New Year.
Thanks, Scott. You too, mate. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time after a well-deserved week off.
Thanks, mate. See you.
See you, mate. And that was Scott Gamble there, our third place driver tonight here at the Bend.
Absolutely, he had a wonderful run's worth of racing action, and he is knowing that he's got to do everything he can. Let's talk, though, driver of the day here today is brought to you, of course, by your M1 used car driver. So I think that this is pretty much undeniable in terms of today's running. We don't always give it to the driver who makes the most positions in the race, otherwise we'd start prioritizing drivers who always start at the back and run forward. It's also about the way you take control of that race. And Brock, I think you and I both agree, and Dan Yeaman also agrees in the production truck, that it was a brilliant day at the office for one Mr. David Nash.
Couldn't agree more there, Sperry. I think David Nash, we went back to him time and time again in the back half of that race, and he fought off guys who seemed to have more pace than him, who were trying to make moves, and Nash didn't make a mistake, kept up his pace, and at the end of the day, we watched him cross the finish line in 5th, plus 11 on where he started. Good qualifying, great race result, very well driving, very well deserving, of our M1 used cars driver of the day.
Yeah, and definitely doing everything perfect. And this is where we say that balling round is fast approaching. As we take a look at the championship standings just before we do, Jordan Ross then will be on top, but Wayne Walker is there just behind. The difference there being 9 championship points heading into Watkins Glen. You've got Scott Gamble there, who will take one of his drop rounds then at the next round as he goes on his hollybobs with Darren Lobb, and David Nash now up to 5th in the championship with that effort. Matt Brunt as well was a good shout for it in 6th, with Poynton, Stewart, Mackay and Stone Street still in that top 10, just clinging on with fingertips out there at this moment. As we look further back and see the likes of Ray Smith starting to make that progress, Paul Young jumping up on 277 points. He's getting himself back into picture as well. And Kenneth Latta, tough start to the season to be down in 20th after 2 rounds, Brock.
That's it. We've got Dean Flavel here in at 21st on 262 points, with Darren Goosey as well on 262 there. Wayne Sanderson in 23rd, Ricky Hyde 24th, Tim Mulford, who we saw disconnect tonight on 220 and 25th, Christian Smart 26th, Justin McLean 27th, Scott Mackay 28th, Brad Doble 29th, and Michael Whiting rounding out our top 30 here in the standings. Crisdale 31st, Dan Hall 32nd, Rushworth 33rd, Arnie 34th, Allman 35th, McKnight in 36th, Spriggs 37th, Cairns 38th, Scholes and Hunt rounding out the 40 here.
Yeah, and you can see the you can see the final 7 there going through, including Brian Minogue, who has not spun around here, didn't even manage to make it here today, but some -5s as well for Blake Delaney and for Paul Warwick down at the bottom of the standings. This is, of course, your reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that next time we are with you, it will be in 7 days' time. We'll be heading over to Watkins Glen from 8:30 AEDT to get ourselves in for the 3rd round, and the question will be asked whether it will be a case of someone new, 3 winners in 3, or is it going to be a case of more of the Wayne Walker show or the Jordan Ross report that we'll be keeping our eyes out on. It's always a wonderful place to go up to Seneca Lake and upstate New York, so catch that with us here at SimSpeed. But also on top of that, it is your balling round fast approaching, and LGC Images have produced a limited edition jersey, which is now pre-orderable until the end of January. All profits will be going over to the Blaine Stewart Foundation, so get behind a great cause. Grab your shirt, your limited edition Ball & Stewart Foundation 2026 limited edition shirt, and it looks absolutely beautiful in the black and orange that is there in the colors. So please do what you can, make sure that you can get that all sorted. From the entire team that has brought this show over from you today, from Daniel Yeaman, from Brock Cadday, who's been alongside me, my name's Jake Sperry, and a massive thanks go to all of the sponsors here today, from RaceKraft Simulations, the title sponsor, Logitech, M1 Used Cars, Nova SimSport, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, SimSpeed, and Parramatta Isuzu Ute. A day which drivers knew that this is going to be a tough one on their feet, a tough one on the tyres, a tough one to go get the result they wanted. Patience will always prevail at the Bend, and the Bend proving brilliant in a world of Wayne Walkers. He puts a masterstroke on Jordan Ross. He says this is not going to be a runaway style championship. You're going to have to fight for each and every single round, and it's going to be a case of a knife fight in a phone booth in 7 days' time. Who walks out as Superman from Watkins Glen? Who ends up a little bit red-faced as Clark Kent? The only place you can catch it is with us on SimSpeed TV with your coverage of the RaceKraft Simulation V8 Vets for Season 26.